Hey guys, SimColor here, and today we are going to learn how we can display the video that we have in our database. So right now we are already displaying the list of videos. We want to click on any single video and watch the video that is associated with that object. So today we are going to learn how to do that. It should be quite a straightforward lesson, so yeah, let's do it. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to take care of is the backend. Again, as the previous lesson, we are going to create an endpoint which will get the video object by ID. This is really a simple process. So again, the first thing that we are going to do is come in here and create an endpoint for it. I'm going to copy the list endpoint, and I'm going to say, instead of list, I'm going to say get. This will be responsible for getting a video by ID. So in the name of the function will be get by ID. Let's keep it really simple. And it will receive the parameter ID, which is the ID of the video that we click on in our page. And let me get in here. Okay, when we click on this, we'll get the ID, and that ID will be displayed in the URL bar. Okay, as easy as that. Then I'm going to get the ID from the query params. Again, this is pretty simple. All I do is ID equals to rec.query. Okay, that's it. And we have our endpoint ready. So now going to the video functions, I'm going to create that function, and I'm going to copy the list function because it is really similar to it. So let's say get by ID. It will receive ID as parameters again. Okay, and now in order to do a get by ID, and if you were in the Android lessons, then this wouldn't be any strange to you. We just say get by ID. It's as simple as that. Mongo takes care of the rest. You could do a find. Better yet, this is find by ID. I'm sorry about that. Find by ID. That's the correct way of doing it. And you could do the find and pass along the parameters of the ID. So say ID, 2 points ID. But Mongoose has a specific function for this. So let's make the full use out of it. Okay, and simply say ID, and that's it. Now it should return just the video with this ID. Okay. One thing, if you were to use the find, you should use the finds one function, and this will search just for one object and not give a list, because the ID is supposed to be unique, so only one video can come out of it. Okay, so now let's grab this, go into Postman, just to test things out if they are being correctly done. Let's make the request to get the list of videos that we currently have, and this is our current list of videos, and I'm going to try and find this video using our function. So let's create a new request, and again you could use Insomnia for this. Again, it is giving me some problems, that's why I'm using Postman instead. Then coming into params, I'm going to input ID, and then grabbing the ID, I'm going to place it in the value. And as you can see, the URL changed. Let's send this, and we get the video that we wanted. So yeah, this is a nice way of doing this. And now we are ready to jump onto the front end. All right, so now the first thing that we are going to do is create a component called video display. And this video display will be responsible for displaying the video, obviously. And so let's do it. New file, video display.js, and call RC to create the component, boilerplate, and there we go. Now we have it set up. We are going to create a route for this. So going into app.js, let's save this first. App.js, I'm going to double up on the upload import, for example, and say video display. Change the name, and it isn't in the user folder, it is in the components folder. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Now coming into the router, we are going to make use of a feature that we haven't used before. First of all, let's just say video display in here. And now, while we say video or display, yeah, let's go with display. Display. Now we want, as I've said before, for the URL to have the ID of the video, because that's a way for us to know exactly where we are and which video to display. And how we do this is quite simple. We say 2 points ID. This means that this URL will expect a string in the ID, which will be a variable of the name ID with the value of the video ID that we want. So that's a pretty easy way of doing this. And yeah, we can just use it like this, and we'll be able to, using props, access this ID within the video display. Okay, so that's it for the app.js. We are mostly done, or better yet, we are completely done. Now, going into the video list, we are going to create the link for the videos. So first of all, we need to import link, which is a tag which will allow us to go to a path. And this link should import React's router DOM. That's it. Now, grabbing it, I'm going to come down below. And in the place where we have this div, I'm going to exchange the div for the link. This way, the entire element will be able to be selectable, so that way the user doesn't have to click on the text or on the image to go to that page. So let's say 2, and in this case, where we want to go to is quite simply, let's just do this, display, and now we want the variable with the ID of the video. So we can easily do this by saying $, opening curly brackets, and then saying current video dot underscore ID. And this way, this link will route us to the correct URL. So let's come in here, reload it, and as you can see, now it is a clickable element. So if you click it, you can see that we go to the display / ID of the video. And we can easily check that by clicking another one, and the ID is different. Okay, so that's it for the video list. We are done. Now, all we have to care about is the video display. So, first things first, I'm going to, first of all, start a constructor, because we'll need to save the video object somewhere. So, props, super props, this.state equals to video 2 points null. Okay, as far as the variables that we need for this page, that's it. We only need the video. So we are ready to move on and do other stuff. So the first thing that we are going to do is a componented mount, because this is where we are going to make a call for the access call for our backend. So componented mount, open parentheses, open curly brackets, and I'm going to first of all import Axios. All right, and in the componented mounts, we simply do the Axios dot get, and now we place in the URL that we want. So I'm going to actually go into Postman and just grab it and remove the final part, or the parameter part, better yet. All right, so now all we have to do is to insert the parameters. Okay, so to do that, you say comma, open curly brackets, params, open curly brackets, And in here, all we have to pass along is the ID of the video. So we say ID 2 points. And now, in order to get the ID from the URL, let me just come in here, the ID from the URL, which is this final part, it is really easy due to the nature of routes in React. So all you have to do is this.props.match.params.id. And this ID comes straight from our app.js, where we said that this variable would be called ID. So as you can see, it is really straightforward to do stuff like this using React. And yeah, now that we have our ID, we are able to start displaying the image. And I can show you that it is working by coming in here and saying these, or I didn't write it down. So let's do that now. So results, arrow function, and say this.setState, open parentheses, open curly brackets, and say video is going to be a result .data. Okay, so now these will update and force a re-render. So I'm going to come in here and say this.state.video, and let's see if this is working fine. So coming back in here, we get an object which has the creator, because we are populating the creator within the backend, and we get all of the data from the video. So we get the name of the video, we get the description, we get the image, and we get the video itself. But this is not correct because we must create a signed URL. If you can remember from our previous lessons, I said that the video would be hidden from the general public, because we don't want people to abuse our storage system. So that's what we are going to do right now. So going back into our backends, I'm going to go into the functions, video functions, and I'm going to create another function called generate signed URL. Okay, and this will be the function that will generate a signed URL for us. And a signed URL just means that it is an URL that will expire within a certain time, which we will be able to decide. So let's say file name, because it will receive the file name of the video, arrow function, new promise, resolve, reject, arrow function again, open that up, and there we go. Now, the first thing that we have to do is calculate in how much time will the URL expire. So I'm going to say that the URL is going to expire in a day. So the user has, this URL will be alive for 24 hours. And the way we do this is first by getting the date, the current date of the server, which remember is in NTP, so it is synchronized with the Google Cloud Storage. So const date, then we say const month, and the const month in this case will be date.get UTC month +1. And we have to do +1 because the months in the JavaScript go from 0 to 11, and because of that we have to add 1 in order to get the real month. Then we say const day equals to date.get UTC date +1, and this +1 is just so that we can calculate what will be the date tomorrow, because that will be our expiration date. And then we say const year, which will be dates.get UTC full year. That's correct. Then we simply build the string which will pass along to the Google storage with the final date. So in this case, I'm going to call it expires month plus between quotes, and I want this to be quotes, plus quotes, plus day, plus quotes, with an hyphen, obviously, plus year. And this will be the date that will pass along to Google Storage. It must be in exactly these formats, otherwise Google Storage will just refuse it completely. So now let's create our buckets file. So const file equals to buckets dot file name. Okay, and say file. We are going to use a function that already exists exactly for this purpose, which is called get signed, not generate, but get signed URL. And this is a Google Storage function which will do exactly what we need. So we must define an action. In this case, it will be a read operation. We pass along the expires to let it know when it will expire. And we say then result arrow function, open curly brackets, and we resolve the promise with the result, and this result will be an array, and in the first position we have the URL that we want. Okay, so just resolve that, then add the catch just in case something goes wrong, open curly brackets, reject error. There we go. Now all we have to do is to grab this function, come in here and say module.exports.generate signed URL, and in order to call a function within the same file as the function you're in, you must do module exports. That's one thing that you have to keep in mind. So let's say results.video, because this is where we get our file name. So say then results, open curly brackets, and in here we are going to replace these results by these results. And I'm going to actually change this name to video in order to make everything coherent. Video.video, okay, it can be like that. And I'm going to say that video.video is equal to result. Okay, add the catch, indent everything, and there we go. And before testing this out, I'm going to replace the result for video, because this is our final variable with the updated video URL. Okay, so going into our Postman, let's see what jumps in, what comes out. And as you can see, video now has an URL. So I'm going to grab it and let's go to the web and try to see if it works. Open that up, and as you can see, the video works. However, if it expires for some reason, it will stop working and the access denied error will appear. Okay, so this part is done. We are able to come back into the video display, and if we reload the page, we'll get the JSON, the object with the video URL. Okay, so now all that we have to do is say, first of all, if this state.video equals to null, then that means that the component in mount still hasn't gotten the information from the server. So we are going to return nothing while we wait for the response. Else, we are going to display the video. Okay, so for this we'll need to import one tag, which will be default not this, default player as video default. Okay, that's correct. Yep, it is. From React HTML5 video. Again, this package is already installed. You should check them out in GitHub, on GitHub. They did a really great job because this is our video display. It will handle all of the things that have to do with video. So it will pull the video. You just have to pass along the video URL. It is basically a video player, really bare bones, really clean. So you are able to customize it however you'd like. So now coming in here, in order to display the video, what we have to do is say video, close that up. And I'm going to say that the key for the video is video, is this.state video dot video. And I'm going to get this variable out of here, otherwise it becomes really a lot of codes for not a lot of results. So let's say const video equals to this.state. Okay, and we are able to replace all of this by video, just that. So video dot video. Then we set the poster, which is the image of the video, dot image, and this is poster. And then we set the controls that we want. In this case, I'll set this to open curly brackets, open the array, close that up. And let's say we want to play and pause. We want to seek so that the user can freely move around within the video, jump to other timestamps, time, and we want to be able to enable full screen. Okay, that's it. Now we simply state the source. So source the source will be video.video. Okay, and the type is video/mp4. Okay, so it is giving out an error, and that's because I don't have the double quotes at the end. I'm going to actually come in here and grab this and show you guys where it is. If you go into Google and type in React HTML5 video, then you'll get the NPM package for it, and you can see all of the controls that it has. So if you are interested in checking them out and seeing what we can do with it, then come in here, the link will be down below. Okay, so now jumping back into the file, we have our video, but let me just come in here because it isn't all that pretty. And it isn't all that pretty because we haven't called upon the CSS for React HTML5 video, because they were kind enough to prepare a default package that we can use. So in order to use it, all you have to do is import React HTML5 video, dist styles.css. And jumping back, you should get the video as it should be, with a play button and the search, the buffer bar at the bottom. Okay, but now it is taking the entire page, which is not very useful. So in order to overturn this, I'm going to first of all set the class name of the parent to container. Let's see how that turns out, and it is much smaller and easier to see. And as you can see, you can zoom in, zoom out, do all of that. So this package is great. I really suggest you use it. Okay, so that's it. Now, all that we are going to do is set the navbar and other smaller stuff. So let's do that. And inside this div, we'll have the navbar, which we still haven't called upon. So let me double check the name, navbar, and it doesn't have the capital B. So coming up top, saying navbar from navbar. There we go. Now a navbar should appear. And we want to display the rest of the information that we have, which is mostly the creator and the title of the video. So in order to do this, I'm going to go below the video. And first of all, I'm going to say p video.creator.name. Let's see if now the name appears, test@gmail.com. And I'm going to also display the name of the video. And this could be an H3, for example. Test video. And then we have the description, which will be, again, a P. Description, and the description doesn't appear. Why? Let me just check. So in the case of this video, we don't have a description, but if you had, then it would appear. It is empty as of now. Okay, so that's mostly it. I don't see if there is anything else to do when it comes to displaying video. We are able to go into the home page, pick out the video, it will load the video, and it will display the video to the user. So it is working flawlessly. Obviously, it doesn't look nice, but again, that is not going to be the goal for this series. I'm just going to focus primarily on the backend and making sure everything works as it should work. I'll leave the design for the redesign, which I'm getting ready. So I'll be launching that at the end of this series. But yeah, next video will probably work on the user page so that we are able to see each user's videos. And then we'll work on subscribing and unsubscribing and checking the videos from the users that you are subscribed to. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you again tomorrow, and ciao.